Welcome to Beyond the Review, customer conversations about digital transformation success, presented by Raven Intelligence. I'm your host and the founder and CEO of Raven Intel, Bonnie Tinder.
Well, hello. I am delighted to be joined today by Jill Jones, CEO of CrossVue. CrossVue is a contemporary consulting firm that helps modernize clients' HR and financials operations with Workday. CrossVue does business transformation, Workday deployment, and post-production support, and they are one of the top-rated Workday consulting firms by customers, both in satisfaction as well as service delivery. Jill, I'm so thrilled to talk to you today.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's great to be here.
Could you start off by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. So hi, everyone. I'm Jill Jones. I'm the CEO at CrossVue. I've spent my entire career in the transformation and technology space, helping clients achieve their organizational objectives. Personally, I'm based here in Chicago and love to travel, love to run, and try to keep myself as active as possible.
And we're both in Chicago today, which is great, enjoying the spring sunshine. You know, Jill, CrossVue, I have read recently, has a mission and a mantra to create a culture of excellence. Could you start our conversation by telling us a little bit about what this is and what that means to you in CrossVue?
Yeah, absolutely. So each year I set a company mantra that kind of builds upon our core values. And our culture and our core values are really at the center of everything that we do here at CrossVue. So excellence is one of our five values that have been with us since we launched the company. So in 2024, our mantra or our North Star for the year is really doubling down on this culture of excellence. And to me, what that really means is holding ourselves accountable to the highest standards of excellence. And that is articulated both internally with how we support one another and then externally with how we serve our clients. There is a sense of pride and a sense of excellence in everything that we do. So this is deeply ingrained with the company. We use it from a lot of different angles, everything from investment decisions to kicking off and different thematics for our company meetings, to rewards, recognition, feedback. It is something that we set at the beginning of the year and we use as a foundation for how we make decisions across the company for the remainder of the year.
I love it. And, you know, we really see the impacts of this idea. And really, the culture of an organization is so important to uncover because it's the heartbeat of a firm that really is indicative of how they end up taking care of their customers. And we see reviews that really point to, that culture of excellence, certainly for CrossVue. But as we look at the success of projects in general, whether a firm has a culture of excellence or does not is very apparent in voice of customers. So it's so key.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that it is the way that we support one another and support our clients that really make us shine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, services firms are a people business. And so, really getting at, creating that internal culture, is ultimately going to then lead to better customer outcomes as well. So important. So how, Jill, does that manifest itself as you go to hire and look at bringing on board new leaders to CrossVue? What do you look for?
Yeah. I mean, this really comes to life by hiring and developing the right people at our firm to drive this culture of excellence. And while it's my mantra in my words, it doesn't come to life unless we get our consultants and our leaders on board and kind of everyone rallied around it. And so we do look for certain qualities when we hire and develop our consultants. And it's kind of focused on both the what, the skills, as well as the how. And this is something that we lovingly call the CrossVue combo. So if you think of like an X and a Y axis, it's really the what, the critical skills, the technology experience that our consultants bring, as well as the how, right? Like that sense of customer hospitality. And that's the critical combination to me. And that's kind of the winning special sauce, is when you bring those two things together really organically. That's when we see this culture of excellence come to life. And that's what we look for when we recruit and train our consultants. And I hold myself accountable to that as well. We have a handful of clients here at CrossVue that have been my personal clients for 10 to 15 years. And it comes from, creating that sense of hospitality, delivering good work and building good relationships and trust, where you know that you can be a good partner and support them through their journey and deliver great results.
I love that word hospitality. And I know that you and I have talked about that word before, but we don't use that in the tech industry. I mean, that's something that we think about in retail or food service. I mean, what can you maybe peel that one back a little bit more? What's hospitality as it relates to you?
Yeah. So there's this book called Setting the Table by Danny Meyer, which one of my board members recommended that I take a look at, which is all about transforming the power of hospitality from the restaurant scene kind of into the business world. And so if you take a step back and you think about the distinct experiences you have at a restaurant, right, which is where Danny Meyer came from, it is really important to create that sense of hospitality, that sense of belonging when you're choosing your consumer experience. So we were talking about Chicago earlier, Bonnie, right? It is a completely different experience if you go to Alinea, right, which is a 3 Michelin star restaurant here in Chicago, versus if you're going to a fast food restaurant, right? They're different and distinct levels of hospitality that have different objectives, but when done right, with that right intersection of kind of excellence and customer service or hospitality, they both create really wonderful and memorable experiences for the customers that they're serving, right? They meet them where they are in their journey, and hopefully that keeps them coming back time over time. And so I think this really simplistic notion of, hospitality translating from the restaurant industry into the consulting industry is really powerful. There is a quote in the book, I'm going to look at my notes here to make sure I get it right, that says, business, like life, is all about how you make people feel. It's that simple and it's that hard, which is so true when we think about these things, and we think about how we want to serve our clients and how we make it a priority here at CrossVue, right? It's all about how people feel. It's all about how our customers walk away from their interactions with us, and how we want to use that sense of hospitality to set them up for success.
I could not agree more with that statement. And, looking back 7 years ago and me starting Raven, it really was an offshoot of being here in Chicago with my husband and using Yelp to find our next best restaurant. We are like huge Yelpers, and Yelp never lets us down. I mean, no matter what neighborhood we are, whether we're traveling in Chicago and looking for, a certain type of cheap eats, or we want to go to a 5-star restaurant, or we're traveling, Yelp has never steered us in the wrong direction. And I think, the voice of customers is so critical when making a decision. And, it was something as simple as finding a restaurant. You think that's $100 decision. And yet customers are faced with the exact same type of decision where they really want that input. And yet we had nothing prior to Raven to go off of. I mean, and what you talk about in terms of that lasting impression, no matter if it's a one meal or it is a 1.5 year engagement where you have, a team of 15 working to transform a business, that at the end of the day, that sentiment and that feeling that a customer is left with speaks volumes. And really that's the whole mission of Raven, is to help illuminate that for customers about to make a decision and let them know really what the customer experience is. It's so important. And Jill, as you said, it's as simple and as hard as that. And it is amazing to me the amount of projects that do not put that at the foundation and at the core. And so I think this idea of hospitality is absolutely critical. It's critical in when you're eating a dinner out as much as it is, working on a high tech project with Workday that you're spending definitely not $100 for. It's so important to get that right and to know what the experience of others is.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up Yelp, right? When people ask me, what does Raven Intelligence do? I basically say like they're the Yelp of the ERP consulting services industry. And I am curious, Bonnie, what you see in your customer reviews, the emphasis on more of the technical side and the skills that the consulting firms bring to bear, or if it is more targeted or angled towards that sense of customer service and hospitality.
Yes, and yes, it's both. So there is, and they're very intertwined because at the end of the day, it's the overall satisfaction with the project that is sort of like if we had to say one North Star, customer satisfaction with the project is going to be, I would say, the most important statistic, right? Or measurement. But there's a lot of different things that go into how happy am I with the outcome of my project. A lot of it has to do with the expertise the firm brought to the table. And the project hygiene. So was the project scoped properly? Was it delivered on time and on budget? Those are important factors because those are part of the overall resource and cost of a project. On the other hand, the people dynamic and the team and the communication skills and the less tangible type of things that we ask a client, what we call sentiment, is also part of the overall equation. And so we really look to create a data set that helps understand what was my feeling about a project, because that is so important, is my feeling. But what did that feel? How am I basing my feeling? Was it based on the fact that my my consultant really listened to me to understand their needs? My consultant followed through when they said that they were going to have something done by the end of the day, that I got that outcome or that task done by the end of the day. There are simple things on a project when, gone wrong, lead to, and they could be very simple things, a very poor outcome. It's like that pebble in the shoe type of things. When we see negative comments on our reviews, it is based on, the consultant didn't follow up, or I was left hanging and things like that. Again, not with CrossVue. We don't see that with CrossVues, but just in general, when we see the, projects that have some sort of challenge with it, sometimes it's those smaller measurements. All of this to say, overall sentiment and satisfaction is, the North Star, but we look at the specific data mix to understand, okay, what made that project successful or challenging and things like that. So Jill, a very long-winded answer to your question there, but it's really both. It's satisfaction, it's communication, as well as the expertise and project outcomes as well.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to CrossVue having both the what and the how, right? The technical skills and the level of customer hospitality that we're looking at. I will say, like, we are seeing shifts in the what, right? In terms of the expectations our clients have of our consultants to not only be Workday experts, industry experts, transformation experts, but we've seen this great technological shift, right, with AI coming to bear, right? And a lot of our clients wanting to take advantage of the advancements that have been brought to market and figuring out how they can be more effective and more efficient, right, with new technology. So I'm curious, Bonnie, how Raven is embracing this new wave, how some of the customers that you work with and support are embracing, and just the general trends that you're seeing happen in the industry now.
Yeah, so I was out at the Workday Analyst Summit just 2 weeks ago, and they spent a good amount of time talking through their strategy as it relates to AI, and then gave us a chance to talk with individual Workday customers about how they were using the AI in practice. And it's something that clearly the industry in general is talking about. And it was very clear from Workday's presentations that they wanted a very measured and thoughtful approach about AI to ensure that what they are rolling out is as minimal risk and disruption to businesses, and disruption in a bad way, that that allows them the freedom to turn on options and things like that. What was interesting in this meeting of analysts is that everyone there wanted to know that, talk more about AI. What are you doing? And yet when we talked to the customers, they wanted to know, what's coming down the pike, but they weren't wanting to be the first to adopt it within their organizations either. So sometimes I think we talk about it a lot, but as clients, they want a more measured and thoughtful approach. So they really liked the way that AI was, Workday was coming out with AI advancements, as opposed to, we're just going to release a ton of, new features and things like that. So I would say, clients are very interested in what the capabilities are. On the other hand, they're not going to just immediately turn on those. Nobody wants to be the first to turn all of those options on. So it's a measured approach from the client's perspective. The specific areas that we see first, or the low-hanging fruit with implementations, is documentation. So this idea of creating project documentation and communication is a laborious and it's a tough process during an implementation. AI is really helping to speed the ability to document a lot of information easily. It's also helping with knowledge transfer because the documentation is so good. Or can be so good with the use of generative AI to aid in, communication, knowledge base, and things like that. So that's sort of the low-hanging fruit. Develop job descriptions, some of the things that are lower risk than, give me analytics about my business and, change things, right? So that's the other side of the AI equation. We'll get there, but I think right now the AI, is more around the generative AI as it relates to text-based job descriptions, aiding in the process for performance improvements, performance evaluations, speeding up the process and things like that. So that's specific with the product. How is Raven using AI within our business? And as a business owner, it's something that I think about every single day. How can we leverage that within the business to be smarter and help customers be smarter about their decisions? So we already are using generative AI within our business to help cull through customer feedback and spot trends. We read every single review from our clients, but generative AI helps us to sift through a lot of disparate data and come up with things that we may have not spotted with our own eyes. So that is already a part of our process. And certainly as it relates to, analytics, we've added natural language processing and embedded intelligence into the analytics side of our business as well. So two different sort of streams there. How is Raven using it? How are customers using it? But I will tell you, it is something that every single meeting that I have and every review, we're asking the clients the questions. It's definitely top of mind. And we'll see, I think, in the next 24 months, really how some of these things are going to impact the speed and accuracy of implementations.
Yeah, I would echo everything that you had just outlined there, right? I think within our customer base, we see kind of two approaches to the new AI technology that has surfaced itself. One on taking advantage of the large language models, right? Having employee handbooks connect to Workday, having a chatbot kind of render itself up, and so it's an easy kind of connected experience for the employees that HR supports. The other side is, a lot of our clients have tight budgets these days, right? And looking for ways to take advantage of these technologies to operate more efficiently, effectively, to do more with less in today's economic and climate. Is something that we continue to see pop up, right? And continues to be of interest as we look into, where we're investing our time and energy and capital in the future.
Absolutely. As you think about and the counsel that you provide to customers, I mean, what is the advice that you're giving to customers as they're thinking about AI within the context of a Workday deployment?
Yeah, so it's really start small, find a few use cases that work for your organization that can be deployed quickly. Use that as a baseline to figure out how you implement and scale more broadly. Very similar, there's a lot of questions and concerns around data and risk and the legal implications of deploying these new technologies. And so I think it's kind of putting a box around some key areas that can really drive efficiencies and have a high impact on how HR, finance, and IT are running their individual organizations, and then kind of wait and see for some of the larger, more complex initiatives that require a full legal and risk review that take a lot more time and energy and thoughtfulness before they're deployed.
Absolutely. Back to this whole idea then in terms of the culture of excellence, as we think about, AI and how that's going to potentially impact all of our jobs in the future. What advice would you have for other leaders that are looking to create a culture of excellence? Are there any lessons that you've learned along the way that maybe you wish that you knew at the beginning of your journey?
Yeah. I think I'll go back to the quote, right? Because it's so simple, but it's so true, right? Like it's all about how you make people feel, right? And even though we're seeing these technological advancements with AI and large language models, like that doesn't solve the human element. Like we will always have a human element in consulting, no matter how efficient we get, right, at documentation or kind of streamlining integrations, right? There is always going to be this sense of you want to partner in this journey, and it's all about how you make people feel, and it's super simple and it's super hard, but at the same time, it's something that we need to continue to prioritize. And I think that's a lesson learned, right? Through my time leading CrossVue and through my time advising organizations through these changes, is technology is not a magic bullet in any means, that it is a tool for organizations and leaders to be successful. For the culture of excellence, right? I've had to realize that you really have to hold yourself accountable. You have to serve as a leader and an example throughout the organization, which takes time and energy, right? Because at the end of the day, installing the culture of excellence and making sure that that's prevalent throughout the organization doesn't work if it's just words on a PowerPoint slide, right? To be successful, it has to be lived and breathed and embedded into every layer of the company as its mantra or its North Star. Like I said, right, everything, it weaves into everything that we do in terms of how we hire, how we develop, how we drive the decisions we make around our budget, how we deliver our projects for our clients, and at the end of the day, how we continue to grow our company to better serve the clients that we have for years to come.
Absolutely. And, it's, as you mentioned before, culture of excellence, that's words. And it is, again, it looks great on a PowerPoint slide, but the way that we see this manifested. So you didn't even have to tell me about culture of excellence, because we see how clients then respond to the teams that work with them from CrossVue, right? So we are looking to measure the outcome of some of those things. And it is very apparent that the culture of excellence internally is then spilling out into the customer experience as well. And it's what we can see in the review process. It's the high scores that you get on satisfaction as well as delivery. So it's really impressive to see. We get sort of the to see the proof in the pudding, so to speak, in terms of what you are doing on the front end of things. So it's really exciting.
Thank you, Bonnie. It is a work in progress, right? It's we're 1 quarter in, but I think we've got a great team that's able to champion this through our clients and through our interactions in the market.
Absolutely. Well, Jill, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely, we'll put the link for the book that Jill mentioned, which is fabulous, as well as the link for CrossVue's review, so that you can read the experience of their customers as well, and know fully about the culture of excellence that they've built.